Welcome one and all, it's time for yet another red hot, spicy, sizzling, tender, succulent Kings of War battle report. Goblins versus Abyssals. And as we remove the thumbnail here, you'll see that I am in the corner of the screen, armed with the army lists in my hand right here. So this is going to be the smoke and mirrors scenario, in which each side place objectives, bluff counters if you will, onto their opponent's half of the table. But the opponent whose half it is doesn't know how much they're worth until part way into the game, when they are slowly revealed 2 by 2. So let's go through the army lists first. You can see it's very similar to the Abyssal force that I've been facing quite a bit recently. This time it's Goblins instead of the Abyssal Dwarves, however. So let's dive in. The Abyssal Dwarf. Oh, the regular Abyssal list. So, I've got it right here. We've got some Tortured Souls. We've got an Ifrit. We've got the lower Abyssals with the Hammer of Measured Force, which is pretty standard in this list, as we've seen. There is another Ifrit, and there is an Abyssal Champion there. And that Abyssal Champion has some Lightning Bolt. Then, there are 2 Hordes of Molochs. Well, Molochs to that is what I say. So let's see what they have. One of them has Boots of Striding, which would be that one here, and the other one has the Brew of Haste. So this one's a bit faster. This one will not be concerned once per game about making a hindered charge. Here we have 2 regiments of Flame Bearers. So it's quite a dangerous little fire team here. The Flame Bearer is accompanied by the Warlock. It has given me some trouble in the past, so we'll see how I'm going to try and deal with that this time. Then over here we have got a regiment of Abyssal Guard with 2-handed weapons, and a regiment of Succubi, and Gargoyles. The Gargoyles do not have any upgrades on them this time. They did in the last game. So let's see what I've brought to try and counter this menace. So first of all, we've got a Troll Bruiser out here. This is Harambe the Troll Bruiser, and my 2 Troll Bruisers that are in this list are differentiated because this one has the Blade of Slashing, and the other one, which isn't on screen yet, has the Mace of Crushing. We've then got a troop of Fleabag Rider Sniffs, 2 Troll Hordes. So the Troll Hordes are differentiated by whatever decoration they have on the base. So the one with the obelisk on it has the Staying Stone, so that's pretty easy to remember. It's got a stone on it. The one with the rabbit has the Potion of the Caterpillar. There's a rabbit leading that unit into battle, so leading them through the difficult terrain kind of makes sense, sort of. Then we've got a troop of more beasts right there, with a war trombone behind them. Then we've got a whiz on a fleabag, and the whiz has the boomstick, putting him up to lightning bolt 6, and just pretty spicy little lightning bolt battery there in one model form. 2 more war trombones behind these 2 troll hordes, 2 more troll hordes, and they have, the one with the dead elf on the base has the Boots of Striding, and this one doesn't have anything. Another Troll Bruiser there, that's the one with the Mace of Crushing, and then there is a Goblin King hiding back there as well. So the King has the pendant for the Headstrong aura, so giving Headstrong to all nearby units, which means I can take some different upgrades on the trolls, rather than what I used to do, which is just constantly bring, like, the Dwarven Ale, for example, and anything else that would make them more likely to do something in the wavering circumstances. So the King is just there to stop any wavers from being fatal, and even though he's got the 9-inch aura on it as well, because I've given him the Sacred Horn upgrade, he can also spread that further by activating a unit near him and benefiting from it, and then moving the King towards another unit and then activating them. So he can actually spread his aura further than that to give them Headstrong. So he's hanging out there. Then on this side, we've got another troop of Fleabag Rider Sniffs. We've got a horde of Rabble. we've got 2 more troops of more beasts. So, what is my grand plan here? Well, you can see where the objectives are, and I can tell you how much the ones I've put down are worth, because obviously I know. I've put 0-point objectives on this side to try and just rule out one half of the table as being necessary for me to take. And I have put units over there, but they're not very valuable units. So there's some more in the centre here. I think I've put a, if that's one of mine, I think I've put a 1-pointer there. And I've got another 0 there. I've got 1-pointer there. And I've got a 1-pointer, I've got 2-pointer in fact, on this side of the hill. There's one round here somewhere, just off camera there. So, turn 1. And I go first. And you can see that I'm pushing forward pretty darn fast. This is the one with the Potion of the Caterpillar, so they don't care about the fact they're in difficult terrain, they're just ignoring that and going at the double. So 2 troll units have gone really far forward there. Harambe has as well. And these ones have gone as far forward as they possibly could as well. This one's had to stop because it's about to reach the difficult terrain there. And the idea is just get right in the face of the Abyssals early, because 4 troll hordes and 2 bruisers is not to be sniffed at all in close combat, and I think I will take the enemy out at that range. I'm not going to do anything silly and leave myself open to flanks or anything, but I want to get up there fast and then close the distance on that really dangerous firing battery of the flame bearers and the warlock. Here the more beasts have just moved up to behind that wall. Good afternoon to Graham in the chat there. The rabble have moved up pretty fast as well. The sniffs are just hanging out on the hill, and I don't think they're in range to plink off any shots yet, but the Wiz with his lightning bolt is able to do some shooting there, and looks like I only put a small tiny amount of damage onto those Molochs, but it's a start. Most of my enemy's stuff does have regen, it should be stated, and there we go. So that's what I wanted from a first turn, getting right up there in their face. The 2-point objective is the one there. That's the most expensive one. I want that one, and that one. Those are 3 that I put down that are worth anything. The other 2, these 2 here, are worth nothing. So my opponent has one here, one here, one here, one here, and one out there. I don't know what they're worth at this stage of the game, but we'll find out. Turn 1 for the Forces of the Abyss. So, an advance. The Tortured Souls do not care about standing right in front of the Morbeasts, just landing on there. And the Ifrit is going to be doing some flamey goodness, no doubt. The Molochs moving up, both of them keeping level with each other. The Gargoyles charge into these trolls, I'm pretty sure, which covers the advance slightly of the 200 weapon Abyssal Guard and Succubi. Now the Gargoyles aren't going to do any damage there, come on. Now this fire team here, these 3 really devastating flame launching units, managed to get 8 damage onto these trolls. And if they can kill a unit a turn, then they're doing very well. If they can't kill a unit a turn, then it's a lot of points spent on that, and they could struggle if they get caught without killing things. So these Morbeasts take some damage from the Ifrit. The Rabble takes a bit of damage from that Ifrit, who had cover applied to these shots because the Ifrit only just moved into the woods, so the cover still applies. And this unit goes up to 6 damage. I think the Abyssal champion fires at them as well with the lightning bolt, and they are dead as a result, so Morbeasts dead. Trolls wavered, but they are within range of the king, so they will be headstrong, so there's a chance they'll be able to do something in this turn. Gargoyles do nothing, as you'd expect. So there's how we're looking. Not a particularly big advance from the Abyssal forces. They definitely have the ranged shooting superiority. Most of my powerful shooting, the 3 war trombones, are only effective at short range, so it would benefit me to get up close and start damaging units and leave them prone for the war trombones to finish them off. So we reveal a couple of the tokens now, and I reveal 1 in the middle of the battlefield, which is worth 0. So we've got that one out of the way, so I know where I don't need to be at the end of the game. And my opponent reveals a 1-pointer to the right side of the hill. There is a 2-pointer on the other side, but he doesn't know that yet. Turn 2 for the Goblins. More beasts into the Tortured Souls, do a bit of damage. Now, I had the choice not to charge them here, because they could have made a hindered charge on me instead, which would have made the more beasts more likely to survive. But even with the hindered charge, I don't think the more beasts would have lived through that charge anyway, so they might as well do some damage. They could have got lucky there. Good afternoon to Bad Squiddo Games in the chat there. Don't forget, anyone making a purchase from Bad Squiddo Games should be using the Andy2D6 code to get a free chicken. And the Fleabag sniffs, perched on the hill. Do a little bit of shooting on the Ifrit. He's a viable target, and they've done a tiny bit of damage. Hoping to get lucky and maybe waver him, you never know. But not on this occasion. So, the War Trombone and the Wiz, in the centre of the lines, move up, and they're going to target the Warlock. Because he's a juicy target. He's not... Let's have a look at his stats here, because he's not outrageously tough. So, I did pick him out as a potential weak point in the fire team. Because the Flame Bearers nerve 13-15, the Warlock nerve 11-13, so his is a little bit lower than theirs, so he's a much juicier target to take out, and he does inspire them as well, I believe. So, toasted him. War Trombone, Lightning Bolt, took him out. So the Warlock is dead. You can see these trolls are advanced onto the hill as well, the wounded trolls, who did pass their headstrong roll, due to the king and his pendant being nearby. And here, I double charged these trolls and the more beasts into the Abyssal Guard with the two-handed weapons, killed them on the charge, killed the gargoyles on the charge, and you might think there's curious positioning here. So all I'm going for in this situation is you are not going to charge my trolls. I want the trolls to be healthy when they get into the fight, so I do not want the Succubus unit to charge one of them. Even though they're unlikely to take them out in one round, they could do, but I don't want the trolls being heavily damaged and then having to face off against what's left of the shooting battery up there. I want them healthy. So I've basically closed off any option to do a risk-free charge into any of the troll units. The only thing they can really charge is the more beasts, which is fine by me. And then I can just turn around and start attacking the side of the firing line there. And is that the... Yeah, you can see there how close they are to the objective, and Harambe the Bruiser is over there. So, a nice wide shot. So you can see that the Troll Bruiser there charged into those Molochs to kind of cover my advance, because these trolls are going to be moving up. So I don't want them getting charged in the flank, so they need the Bruiser right there blocking off that charge. These trolls have moved up. They're in the difficult terrain, so anyone who charges them will be hindered. These rabble as well, if they get charged by the extra fast Molochs, they would also end up hindered because they would have to go through this terrain, unless there was a really tricky setup of individuals which would limit what they could do for the rest of the turn if they were, for example, parked on the edge of the woods to stop the Molochs from entering the woods. Then it may have been possible for them to get in there without becoming hindered, but it would have been tricky and very difficult. Battle Knights is here. Hello. And I've got my War Trombones poised as backup here. I've got this one behind the trolls, so if the trolls do get attacked and get killed, then I've got a bit of support here, because no one wants to be standing out in the open when you've got two trombones there, another one there, the king with his bow as well, and the wizard with lightning bolt 6. So that's a dangerous little area. For any enemy units to be here would be quite perilous for them. So turn 2 for the Abyssals, and a triple charge into the rabble, trying to make absolutely sure that they're killed, because if this charge doesn't work, this unit could be in peril. I'll show you why in a minute. So the lower Abyssals, the Abyssal Champion and the Molochs, you can see the Molochs have got themselves hindered from the terrain, but that might not make a difference because there's so many attacks going in on such a feeble horde there. So if the Molochs are not part of a successful attack here and they do not kill that unit, they are going to get flank charged by these trolls, which would be a bad time, let me tell you. That would almost certainly kill them. Over here, the Succubi do decide that they want to attack something and they go for the more beasts. So that was really the only option they were left with that doesn't result in them being killed afterwards. So that's what they've gone for. So it's the right move, but I feel like I only presented my opponent with suboptimal moves there, because it still achieves what I want. And here, these trolls take some more damage on the way up the hill. You can see that the flame bearers are just moving away and peppering them with shots. And the sniffs on the hill on my left flank get attacked by the Ifrit, so they've taken some damage, and they actually die as a result of that. And the trolls chasing up the hill die, but they survive 2 turns of shooting, which is quite important actually, because that fire team can take out something per turn with good rolling. So the fact that it took them 2 turns to kill 1 unit, and I'm now really in their face with lots of my stuff, is good. These Molochs have countercharged into the Bruiser, by the way, obviously. The Morbeasts only get wavered on the countercharge from the Tortured Souls, which is fine because I'm keeping them tied up for a bit longer. And in the middle, the Rabble take 1 billion wounds, and they die, which will allow those Molochs to turn around and not get flank charged by trolls. So had a double 1 been rolled there, that would have been highly comical. The Bruiser is wavered as a result of this fight against the Molochs here, which is probably about right, because obviously he inspires himself, so there's a reasonable chance that any troll unit is going to get wavered with that big gap between waver and rout. And here the Morbeasts obviously get killed by the Succubi, who then turn slightly so they're facing in towards those trolls. And on that side, it's not looking very healthy for me, but as I said, I put my worthless objectives over on that side. So depending where my opponent has put the 2-point objective, we'll see how healthy the game's looking, because this side for me is looking very good now. Now I can't charge into the Succubus unit with any of this, but remember what I was saying about anything in there is in peril. I've got all this shooting in this zone that's going to go straight for them. They are stealthy, so it might limit the number of hits slightly, but I'm still expecting to do a lot of damage to them next turn with my shooting, allowing everyone else to turn in and head towards this fire team here. So we find there's a 1-point objective underneath those Molochs that just rotated to face the central trolls, and we find another 0-point objective near my War Trombones, which is fine because they're not going to be able to hold it at the end of the game anyway. And I also know where all my objectives are that I want to be contesting or controlling on my side of the table, so I've revealed both of the worthless ones immediately, so that's actually quite useful. Turn 3 for the Goblins. The Trolls decide you may not have offered us a flank because you actually successfully killed the Rabble, so we're just going to charge into the front. Because my reckoning is the Molochs are better than the Trolls, but the Molochs also have inferior defense. So I think it'll take the Trolls probably 2 rounds to kill them. The Molochs hitting back probably won't kill the Trolls in 1 round, so theoretically I think the Trolls should win the fight 2 rounds against 1. We'll see whether that is actually true, because both units have regeneration, so it could swing wildly. But they do 5 damage. I would have hoped they'd do a little bit more than that, because I think they are wounding them on 2s, the Trolls. So it's quite a disappointing return there. Especially because I'm not hindered, because I just managed to avoid the terrain there. And in the middle, I move the Troll Bruiser back so that I can use one of my Trombones to scorch the Molochs there. So I'm obviously confident the rest of what I've got can deal with the Succubus unit. And you can see everyone else is just spread out to target them. Unfortunately, I don't do enough to kill them. So they are alive. I can't see how much damage is on them. I didn't get a close enough picture, but it's a decent amount. I've moved Harambe in, so Harambe is going to be able to charge someone next turn. And the 2 troll units, who are very healthy, I'm not over-committing them inwards. I'm just slowly positioning them so they can't get charged by the Succubus unit, keeping them healthy and kind of moving them towards that area, because the objective I really want, the 2-pointer, is down here somewhere. And I don't know where the other 2-pointer is yet, because it's not been revealed. The Sniffs, though, this objective is definitely worth something, because I've revealed both the 0s. So there's 2 more over here. So the Sniffs are just going to sit on this. Whether it's worth 1 or 2, they're going to stay there. My suspicion at this stage is that the 2-point objective is one of these, since my opponent is doing better on this side and committed more than I did to this side of the table. Turn 3 for the Abyssals. And the Tortured Souls just hop over the Morbeasts, decide they're not going to bother with them anymore. because the Ifrit can probably finish them off. And the Molochs countercharge into the Trolls as expected, probably won't kill them in this round. These Molochs bypass the Bruiser, which I approve of because he's something that can actually hold an objective at the end of the game, and it gives me another turn to regenerate his wounds. But the War Trombone is obviously a threat, so anytime you get a chance to kill them, is it bad necessarily to take that? In these circumstances, I think the Bruiser dying would have been a bigger blow to my cause, personally. But we'll see. The lower Abyssals move up onto the hill, because there's an objective there. So I'm thinking the objective here, or here, is probably worth 2 points. That's why these units are sticking around, because they want to hold that at the end of the game. War Trombone, this other one is charged by the Succubus unit, which again is okay because they're fighting around a 0-point objective, and I'll probably be able to charge them in a minute as well. That's if I don't just finish them off with shooting, because they're already damaged from the previous attack. And here, you can see the king sitting pretty there. He wasn't able to actually prevent the Troll Bruiser from being wavered, unfortunately, despite the aura. And I think we've gone into my opponent's turn now. So the Abyssal turn. The Flame Bearers scorch the Troll Bruiser. So he's up to 10 wounds and becomes wavered again. Which is okay because he's still within range of the king, so he might pass his headstrong test at this occasion. And hold on, were we on my opponent's turn anyway? Yeah, we were. I never actually got past the killing stage, did I? So that's the shooting phase now. So he's been shot. And then that War Trombone also gets shot and wavered. And then the king, does he get shot? Nope, the Bruiser gets shot off. So there you go. Successfully killed the Bruiser with Flame Bearers. There is another Bruiser in the battle though, don't worry, and it is Harambe. The more beasts are shot off as well. And the War Trombone is killed by the Succubus Regiment on my right flank. They then turn round a bit. I think, do they turn round or are they over on there? Looks like a bit of a rotate, doesn't it? And they're just trying to make sure that my trolls can't charge them. That's why the Arc of Sight is out there. And in the middle, the Molochs kill a War Trombone as well. These trolls take 7 wounds, and you can see a couple of wounds have come back, I think, from this unit as well with their regeneration. Lower Abyssal still chilling out, and we find out that's a 1-point objective, and one of my zeros that I put down before is revealed. So there's the wide shot. So we've got 1 point there, 0 and 0. So the 2 is either going to be here, which would be great for me because I've got loads of units there, or all the way over there, which would be terrible because I don't have anyone that way. So my trolls, I would hope to kill the Molochs in this next turn. I would hope that I can lightning bolt off a unit as well. Should be able to kill the Succubus unit, maybe with a lightning bolt. Harambe is going to charge into those Flame Bearers, which would be very nice if we can kill those in the flank. And these trolls are just going to have to spend a turn making sure the Succubus unit don't have an easy charge on them, just in case they survive. Turn 4 for the Goblins. So the trolls back into the Molochs, but I barely do anything, unfortunately. That's 2 rolls for the trolls that have been quite bad. I do regen some wounds though, so they might not die next turn. And the Wiz with the lightning bolt, I can't even see what that damage number is. But it wasn't enough to finish them off, sadly, the Succubus unit. So I've got the trolls both facing that way. Harambe in the flank was enough to kill the Flame Bearers. And the king charged the other Flame Bearers in the flank to try and do a wound to stop them shooting. But I'm not sure if he actually did a single wound there. He might have completely failed with all his attacks, the king. So that was a very quick turn. And there you go. So scoring units left. I've got 3 Troll Hordes, the Sniffs and the Bruiser. My opponent has the lower Abyssals, both Molochs Hordes, Flame Bearers and the Succubi. But a lot of those units are damaged, where more of mine are on really good health or totally undamaged. Turn 4 for the Forces of the Abyss. And there's just a bit of rotation going on. Nothing too crazy. The Molochs back into the Trolls again. These units can't really move because the objectives they're on are actually worth points at the end of the game, so they're kind of stuck there. And over here you can see the Molochs have gone into the other Trombone to try and finish that one as well. and the Succubus regiment have gone into the Trolls, and this one, I think they've just backed away a bit. At this point, my opponent would have timed out. We were doing 50 minutes on the clock, just as like a bit of practice, but we weren't holding ourselves strictly to the clock, so we did carry on with the game. And here, you can see the king's taken a bit of damage from shooting, a bit more damage from shooting, and a bit more damage from shooting, so lots of things targeting the king, and then he becomes wavered ultimately. So that is okay, I can live with that, I think. Especially because his aura will benefit himself as well. Now this is comedy. So the Molochs do 1 billion wounds to the War Trombone, and then wah 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 wah, double 1 on the War Trombone. So they're stuck, not participating in the rest of the battle at the moment because they're going to have to fight the War Trombone again. Probably. And then the Trolls take a little bit of damage from the Succubus regiment, but not much, so I should kill them easily next turn. And the Molochs do in fact kill off my Trolls, so a lot of damage done this round, unfortunately. And I was hoping to win that duel, so that's put a spanner in those works a little bit. So we find out that there's a 1-point objective there, under the Tortured Souls pretty much. And a 2-point objective, my opponent reveals that one, so he now knows where the valuable objective is on his own side of the board. And the Flame Bearers are on it, so it's there. But that means, because there's only one objective left to reveal each, that the valuable objective for me is here. That is going to be a 2-pointer, and my sniffs are on it. So if I can hold that, if I can hold the objectives in this area here, a 2, a 1, and a 2, my opponent won't be able to hold it enough to compete with that. Because if I'm going to kill the Succubus unit, I'm going to kill the Flame Bearers, surely. Then he just won't have enough units to hold enough if I can keep those objectives intact. The fact that these Molochs beat the Trolls, somewhat against the odds, because I think I had 2 rounds that I should have killed them in that time, but the fact that the Trolls lost mean these Molochs can now be a bit of a pain. So I'm going to have to just kind of blockade these Molochs, I think, rather than necessarily chasing after them and killing them, because I'll be chasing them into a zone where there's 0-point objectives and there's a 1-pointer there, when I want to be sitting on the 2 and the 2. So I don't want to go after them. I'd rather just hold them up and try and shoot them if I can. Turn 5 for the Goblins. So, the Trolls positioning themselves. I'm going to have to leave 1 unit behind to hold this objective though. And Harambe has charged into the flank of the Flame Bearers with the King in the front. Unfortunately, I can only waver them. The King did pass his Headstrong test. And not much of a turn because I haven't got that much left, but it's still a promising position because I'm going to kill that unit at some point. Turn 5 for the Abyss. So, the Flame Bearers back away again. And I think they're backing away so these Trolls can't get them in the flank, maybe? Can't remember the logic behind it, but the Ifrit is going to do something now. And the Abyssal Champion is there as well with Lightning Bolt. So with all that, what is going to be the target? It's the King again, takes tons more damage, and the King is dead. So that means I don't have any more Headstrong ability in the army. And the War Trombone goes down at the second time of asking from the Molochs, and they turn round. So, I believe I do still have a flank charge on that unit with the Trolls. So what I'm going to do is, well, at the moment I don't, because I need to move Harambe out the way, I think, in order to make that charge. So what I'm going to do in the next turn is charge Harambe into this unit of Molochs, because he can just see them from his perch on the hill there. And then these Trolls are going to charge into the flank of the Flame Bearers, kill them. Harambe will hold that unit up for a turn. These Trolls are just going to not engage, and I hope I can shoot that unit off so I don't have to fight them, because I want to stay there with the objective. Then turn... oh no, that's the 0-point objective we're looking at now, so the last one revealed, there's no one near that anyway. And the 2-point objective, which could be crucial, near the Sniffs. So, not a lot of units left for me, but they're well positioned for the points. Turn 6. So it might end at the end of turn 6, we might get turn 7. Harambe charges in there, doesn't kill them of course, not many attacks, but holding them up and might survive a round against them, so they won't be able to just go straight for this juice over here. If it ends on turn 6, it's going to be difficult. They'd have to kill him and get a decent overrun to get to within range of that. And these trolls are just backing up a bit, just keeping themselves on the 2 after they kill the... No, they're not backing up yet. Getting a bit ahead of myself there. They charged into the flank of the flame bearers and then rotated on the spot after killing them. So they had to rotate to the perfect angle to leave themselves out of charge range of the enemy units, though. Particularly this one, because that one's held up with Harambe. And this unit here is the one that was backing up a bit onto the 1-point objective. So at the moment, I'm holding a 2, a 1, and a 2. My opponent is holding a 1 all the way over there and a 1 here. So clearly not enough. And he's only got 2 more units to go for objectives. So if it ends on turn 6, I'm almost certainly going to win. But we'll see. Because let's see, even if they overrun past Harambe and end up within range of this one, I think they're equal unit strength, so it would just cancel out, so I would still win 3-2 at that stage. So he needs this unit to do something as well, and a turn 7, preferably. Of course, there is the option that this unit could get killed with shooting. There are some shooting individuals left. So, turn 6 for the Abyss. Could be the final turn of the game. The Molochs have moved up, waiting to see if there's going to be a turn 7. All the shooting converges on these trolls here, as you'd expect, because they're sitting on a juicy objective. And 8 damage onto them. Harambe takes some damage in combat, and is only wavered, which is very nice. And those trolls, by the way, were fine as a result of that shooting. They didn't even become wavered, so that's good. And wavered Harambe, and we do get a turn 7. Unfortunately, because I would have just won it there, so I didn't want turn 7 at all. So these trolls just back away as far as they possibly can while still remaining within 3 inches of the objective there. And they regenerate some wounds, which could be helpful in surviving another turn. These trolls, so my decision here, I decide if I stay back, I can't get out of their charge range, or the range of them to come in and take this objective. I want that objective, I don't want my opponent to have it. So the best way to do that would be to go forward, leave myself just in range of the objective, force them to charge me, so they would have to kill me and overrun to get a piece of that objective. Hope that makes sense. So if they just charge me and don't kill me, I've got the objective. If they charge me, kill me, and only overrun like 3 inches, then they don't have that objective and no one will get it. So I think this is the best way for me to have a piece of the objective and give me the best chance of that, while also guaranteeing that, not quite guaranteeing, but it's a good chance that my opponent won't be able to take it. I think all that made sense. Made sense in my head anyway. The Sniffs are obviously backing away right to the table edge to minimise the chance of anything shooting them off, because they're on a juicy 2-point objective as well. And they're just hoping that my opponent's forgotten about them, I think. And Harambe not doing much, just sitting in front of those Molochs, because the only way they can get involved now is if they kill Harambe and then overrun far enough, which would be something like 4 or 5 inches to get within range of that one, which would contest it from the trolls, which on its own wouldn't be enough, because I would still be on a 2 and a 1, and my opponent would be on a 1 and a 1, and that one would be a draw. So if they could overrun Harambe and kill this unit of trolls, then that would be a different matter though. So turn 7 for my opponent, and the shooting is going to take place here, and my opponent actually made a bit of a mistake, which he did then check after the game. So this Ifrit positioned here is actually blocking the Molochs. So if they kill Harambe and overrun, they can't actually get to within 3 inches of that objective because the Ifrit is there. So that's a bit of a mistake there. This unit of Molochs have charged into the trolls on the hill, which is the only thing they can do, and then hope for a good solid overrun to get onto that point. And so these trolls take a lot of shooting damage again from the Ifrits, but they only become wavered, so they are fine. So they're sitting pretty on a 2-point objective. The Harambe Bruiser is dead though. Long live Harambe. And these trolls also become wavered with 6 damage from the Molochs, but it's the last turn, so it doesn't matter. So there is how the battlefield looks at the end. Are there any more pictures? Yes. So you can see the Tortured Souls are on a 1-point objective. The lower Abyssals are on a 1-point objective. They didn't really participate too much in the game other than helping kill off the rabble, because they had to then sit on this objective and babysit it for the whole game. Had my opponent been planning ahead a bit more, it's just something he said after the game, he could have been shuffling them into position to try and hold 2 objectives because they're so wide, which I think may have been possible. the 2-point objective held by the Sniffs. They did their job. And these trolls are holding that objective there against the onslaught of the Molochs. And these trolls are holding that one. So it's a victory, 2 points for the Abyssals, and 5 points for the Goblins. So, very nice. So even if one extra thing had gone wrong for me in the final turn, it would have still been enough because there was enough of a cushion there. It needed multiple things to go in the favour of the Abyssals in order for them to take it. So, had this area gone really well for them, had they killed Harambe and overrun far enough, and not blocked off the overrun, and killed this unit with shooting, which may have been more difficult if they're intent on not blocking the overrun, then they could have got onto the 2, and then knocked me down to 3 points and put themselves up to 4 points, which would have been a win, but that's a lot of factors that all need to go perfectly there, and obviously they didn't. And that's the end of the game. So victory for the Goblins. I like the Goblin list to some extent. I don't like every aspect of it. I'm not sure the Moorbeasts have ever really justified their position in any of my lists. I like the models, I like the balls that I use for them, but I can't help thinking that for the same price almost, in fact a little bit less points, I could take a giant. I'd have to put him on a bigger base now since giants are now titans. So do I take a giant instead of 3 troops of Moorbeasts? I can't take the big rock throwers because I don't have enough War Machine unlock slots, since I've only got the 4 hordes of trolls and I've already got 3 war trombones as war machines. So I think I could probably squeeze in maybe 2 big rock throwers, but then I'd need to take something else as well. Or a giant. A giant, would it be overkill on crushing strength? A giant and 4 troll hordes and 2 troll bruisers. It sounds pretty terrifying to face. Is it that terrifying? What if I come up against an army that's just entirely defense 3, just terrible units, and I'm just wasting all those points I've paid for all that crushing strength? Do I take more regular goblins? I like the sound of a giant. I think it's just scary with all those trolls. But we shall see, because there is a tournament coming up soon, and obviously at 2,000 points, I've voiced my concerns in the past about the Abyssal Dwarves not necessarily being that great at 2,000 points. I think they need a little bit more, especially with the models I have, to get them to a point where the list feels balanced. Whereas this Goblin list actually feels pretty balanced. I think it would still feel balanced with a giant in there. So you can get a lot for your points with the Goblins, and I think the Trolls are definitely still good value in this edition, so we shall see. Let's bring up the episode thumbnail here. So, it was another enjoyable battle, and this time I reign supreme with the Goblins. Am I going to take them to that tournament? We shall see. So, don't forget, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Obviously, don't forget to send me all your money via the various means. And thanks to all the Patreon supporters. So that would include Neil, Raccoon, Roshi, Kim, John, Guy, Graham, Cedar, Simon, Nippleless and Brad. Thanks to all of you for keeping this channel afloat during these turbulent times so that I can continue providing grade A quality entertainment to the masses and educating them at the same time, which is a service I'm more than happy to provide when my financial conditions are met, of course. So, I think that's it. Stay tuned for more battle reports, more Kings of War goodness, more goodness in general, covering various game systems on this channel at the moment, hoping to be playing more Walking Dead, Dead Zone, Age of Sigmar, Kings of War, among other things. So, all that remains to be said at this point is, good night out there, whatever you are.